So I'm your program chair, and today I'm excited to introduce our speaker. As maybe some of you, I spent a lot of my youth plunking away at empty Western Family orange soda cans with my BB gun, and then got yelled at by my mom for losing the 5-cent deposit. So when I saw that our club sometimes supports the local Forest Grove Timber Beasts, I thought, that's a program I want to hear more about. So I'm excited to introduce our speaker today. Lonnie Winkler is a coach with the Forest Grove Timber Beasts. When he's not coaching the Forest Grove Timber Beasts, he's the director of field operations for 40 Yard Solutions, and you might also recognize him as a former member and chair of our Forest Grove School Board. So please join me in a warm Rotary welcome for Lonnie Winkler.
See if I can talk quiet enough to use the microphone without blowing everybody's eardrums out. Thanks for having me today. I was kind of a last minute tag in. Our head coach and director, Howard Baker, came down with not feeling well after spending the week last week at the Sportsman Show. So he came by yesterday and asked if I was willing to stand up and give a little bit of information and history on our shooting team, and I thought, sure. So we are the Oregon Timber Beasts. We are the only BB gun program left on the West Coast. There used to be, I think, 10 or 11, 25 or 30 years ago, we would actually invite some of those teams into Oregon to have an Oregon championship, and the top 3 teams from that competition would go to the BB Gun National Championship at different locations. Now it's in Rogers, Arkansas. We take a team back there every year. A little more about that. So I have a daughter who just graduated the program. You can shoot, well, I say just, she graduated a couple of years ago now, I guess. My mind is not caught up with the fact that she's 18. I have a son who is still actively shooting in the program. So Howard has had son, daughter, grandkids. He's been with the program for, if you ask him, it changes. Somewhere we estimate by pictures and awards on the wall from Daisy, somewhere between 40 and 45 years. we can't quite pin it down exactly, but that's how long he's been with the program. It had been around for 10 or 15 years before that. So it is a little-known institution. If you don't know where to look, you probably won't find it. Oh, that's the wrong button. There we go. So our goal is simply to give as many young people as possible a positive shooting experience with an emphasis on safety. We are a safety program. In order to even set foot on one of the ranges, you have to go through a 6-week safety program. You don't get to hold a gun until the last 2 weeks of that 6-week safety program. It goes through everything from hunting rights and responsibilities to gun control and muzzle control, backstops, all of that information. We shoot 4 positions: prone, standing, sitting, and kneeling. Prone is first, so you can dial in your gun. Kneeling is last because it puts your foot to sleep. It is our least favorite position. None of the kids like it, especially when they start. But so each one of these positions is worth 100 points. They shoot 10 shots at 10 bullseyes, each one for a possible 10 points. We also have a test that's worth 10 points for a total possible of 500 points. Our range, we have 3 ranges at the Pithian Lodge where we shoot. We have a total capacity of 19 shooters, and that's stacking them in pretty tight. So we have 3 start times. Prior to COVID, we actually had 4 start times because we had 72 shooters. Now we're settled in between 30 and 35. Our ranges they only have to be 5 meters, 16 feet 4 3/4 inches. We use a simple canvas backstop. This particular range on the upper left, that is a range we just completely redid. There were all kinds of little BB holes everywhere from the 50 years that they've been shooting there. So we found BBs we didn't even know you could get a BB into when we redid that one. So I'm reading Howard's notes here, so pardon me for a second. We practice once a week, every Tuesday, for between 11 and 15 weeks. Kind of depends on how the dates fall. We take those, let's say 13 weeks, we drop the 3 lowest, and then create an average. And the shooter with the highest average, the top 5 shooters at the end of that time frame get made into a 5-person team to go back to nationals with. We also take number 6 and 7 as an alternate, and they compete in their own alternate competition back at nationals. So they're not there waiting, wringing their hands hoping somebody gets sick or something. They are actually able to compete on the same stage with the same kind of all eyes on them mentality. It is a huge experience to get them to be there and compete prior to them being on the team. It is very helpful. So this is the national competition. This is back at nationals. There are 600 shooters across 38 states, including Hawaii, and sometimes Puerto Rico and Guam, depending on if they can raise the money to fly to the mainland. This is them taking the test at nationals. We get a giant room, and they show the questions on a screen, and they fill in their little scantrons. But this is just kind of gives you an idea of the scope of how big that competition is. This is our shooters taking the test back here at one of our weekly competitions. We shoot what's called a Daisy Avante Champion, which is called the most accurate BB gun in the world. It is a single shot air rifle, spring air compressed air rifle. So it uses a spring to pull air back behind the BB, and the plunger going forward is actually what propels the BB out. Only has about 300 feet per second out of the muzzle, so sometimes it doesn't quite get to the target 5 meters away. The older ones, it is muzzle loaded, so it's a single shot. After every shot, you have to drop a BB down the muzzle, and then cock it, and then point it in and fire. The really good shooters, and you'll see the same shooter up here twice because she was a phenomenal shooter, Irene Van Dyke. If you happen to get 100, you get your name on the 100 board. This plaque and that plaque go back to 1980. So it is a very non-common thing to get 100. I will use 2 seconds to brag about my son, who just last week got his name on the board. something his sister was never able to do in her 9 years of shooting, so there was a lot of bickering at my house for a little while. But it is interesting to go back and look at that board. A couple of facts. One, there is no kneeling since 1980. Nobody has gotten 100 in the kneeling position because, again, your foot starts to fall asleep and your focus comes off of what you're doing and you just want to stand up. That is the only thing you care about by the end of the 10 minutes. And there is only one in standing position. So 2 positions that are terribly difficult to master. Most prone, you have a lot of your body contacting the floor, so it's pretty stable. So the scores are tracked each week. As I said, at the end of the 13 weeks, when we cut the team, we have what we call banquet night, and we have the top 3 in each position get awards, and we have medals, and every test, the students get a pin for that says 100, and then a number, and that's the number of hundreds they got on the test each week. So we've had, well, Irene Van Dyke, the one that was up there twice, putting her number on the board. She is one of the few that has gotten 13 weeks of 100 perfect test scores. So usually they miss a week or 2. Some of the questions are worded very specifically to trip them up. So they have to be careful. It is interesting, my son had a perfect test score into week 6, shot 100 in prone, and then missed a question on the test. So life is still in balance. You win some, you lose some. The 2 alternates also take the test. That's part of their competition as well. So again, we are a safety program first and foremost. We've actually invited some of the Washington County Sheriff's officers to come in and shoot against our team, and of course we choose the cute little blonde-headed girl to shoot against them because, you know, it's funner to watch them squirm after they get beat by a 9-year-old. At the end, we then, as they think they're leaving, we remind them, no, there's still one part of the program that you need to participate in, and that's the safety test, and they refused. And they were armed, so we let them leave without taking the test. The national competition, the only way we get there is through donations. We do a lot of fundraising, a lot of community outreach like this. This is two of our teams that have gone back and stood on the podium. There is awards for costume contests. We are at a major disadvantage in the costume contest back at nationals because we have to get on a plane. And some of the teams are local to the match or within driving distance, so they come with elaborate costumes. We are kind of relegated to what we can put into a single suitcase. So we oftentimes go as loggers. That's what we did last year. Howard, through the years, has created a couple of wooden axes that will break down. You pull the pins in them and they'll break down, and the hats and everything. He has the puzzle of how they go into a suitcase. But Rogers, Arkansas is the destination. Last year we came in 10th out of 78 teams, teams of 5. So last year we did very well. One of our fundraising methods is Howard hates it, but he's not here, so I'll call it the bouncy house. Basically, this inflatable was given to us by Daisy we're supposed to be able to rent it for fundraisers, then ship it to you, but we were asking for it so often that they just gave us one. And it is one of the main ways that we not only educate and get our name out there and recruit, because we inflate this and there's 2 shooting positions, and it runs a target out to 5 meters. Kids can try their hand at shooting a target with one of our really accurate BB guns. If they do well, hey, you should think about coming out to join us. If they just really like it, hey, you should think about coming out and joining us. But it does get mistaken for a BB, for a bouncy house a lot. So in some pictures, in fact, I think you'll probably see one coming up, there is a sign that says, "This is not a bouncy house," because it is there it is. No, it ain't no bouncy house. So this is the range in Rogers, Arkansas. It is a massive hall with shooting points down the left and the right side. They shoot 2 relays, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and each relay has, depending on the year, between 70 and 100 firing points. So they can shoot, there's a lot of shooting going on. The people there come back every year. You go to Howard, go with Howard to one of these events, and you would think he was part of the Beatles. Everybody knows Howard, and everybody is a fan, and he knows everybody. So he is quite the social butterfly back there. But it is really fun to see the kids work toward something and then get to end here, because they put on a massive production. Daisy still is the name in safety and shooting for kids. That's what they do. They do it very well. The cost to get back to Rogers, Arkansas used to be, prior to the pandemic, was between $800 and $1,000 for airfare, room, food, that kind of thing. It is no longer $8,000 to $1,000. In fact, I just checked airfare, and airfare is $1,100 a person. So it has blown our perception of our budget kind of out of the water. So we are at, more than ever trying to raise money to make sure we have enough to get 7 shooters back to the Nationals. So at the end of Nationals, they also have an awards banquet, or an awards, and they call all the teams up onto the podium, announce all the teams, the coaches, the kids get to stand up there and get their picture taken, and this is the hall that they use, and all of these rows are the shooting teams that go back there. It is quite the event. I may have gone a little bit too fast. Questions? I can blather on forever about this. Please.
He's still doing the 100 safety courses throughout the year?
So he does, but they've changed the requirements on those. So he does still do 100 safety, and but I think it's a little fewer and far between than it once was, because ODF&W changed the requirements of how many people you have to have before you can do a course, and how many people. He used to just do them, when there was enough people that he knew who had people that need to go, kids that need to go through it, he would set up a class and do it. Now, they're saying that so many have to be from a website, so many of them have to be from, you know, online signups and personal signups. So Howard's kind of a no-nonsense guy, so if it gets too complicated, he's just kind of waits until it gets uncomplicated.
Yeah.
So he still does it, but so reach out to him. But it's not. I mean, he used to do 3 or 4 a year,
Yeah.
and now it's, I think, 1 or 2 maybe.
Yeah, my eldest son was 30 years ago, and my youngest was about 20 years ago. The room was full up there, but not overly stuffed, but
Yeah.
it was full.
Yeah.
So what's the minimum and maximum age, and what's the cost to be a member of the team?
Great questions. I probably should have covered that. I did not. So, in order to go back to Arkansas, the minimum age is 8. The maximum, the rule book says, as long as you are 15 when the first shot goes down range. So if it's a 3-day shoot, if you are 15 the first day and turn 16 the second day, you can still participate in that match. So between 8 and 15. At our club, if you come in a mature 7 and can demonstrate to the coaching staff that you can handle the muzzle of the gun and be safety conscious and not, you know, too rambunctious, we have let in shooters as young as almost 7, 6 and 9/10. So, and it's a lot of fun when they're that young, because they get excited when they hit paper. You know, they're just happy to be there. So it changes the dynamic. So cost, it's $50 to take the 6-week safety course that is required prior to being in what we call extended program. And then it's $50 to be in the extended program. A lot of people through the decades of this program being around will bring their kid and grandkids in just for the safety class, and with no intention of going on to compete. It is a great safety course for those that just want enough safety to teach them what to do if they came across a gun at a friend's house, or if they found a gun in a dumpster out back. And that, unfortunately, in today's environment, are both very real possibilities. Yeah, please.
Do you provide the guns, or do they bring their own to shoot?
Good question. So we have both. So we have what we call team guns. We have 15 guns of varying length and size that if you don't want to purchase your own gun, you can use one of the team guns, or maybe the first year you're kind of, the shooter isn't, not really sure if this is something you can do. If you want to purchase a gun, I think it's it went up a little bit, $125 now, which I'm told is still a great deal when you compare it to maybe a softball bat. Because my understanding is those can be outrageously expensive. The idea that Howard has maintained through the years is we don't want cost to be a reason why they don't come and learn about gun safety. So you figure your first year $100 plus $120 gun into it for $2.25. The second year you already have a gun, so it's $50 to join the extended period. You only have to go through the 6-week course the first time. So it is very cost effective as an extracurricular activity. We have a lot of kids buy their own gun and then practice at home, because all you need is to pace off 15 meters or 5 meters, and that's very easy to do. I know my kids shot in the shop. go to Goodwill and buy a king sheet and hang it from a line, and it's easy. Once they do graduate, age out, we have an air rifle team that we've started. My daughter and I, before she aged out, actually, she wanted to be a coach. So she and I went through the NRA Certified Rifle Coach program. So she has started an air rifle team that it's a lot more expensive to shoot air rifle than it is. They have scopes and stands, and the guns are not $125, closer to $600. So she went back last year. You can shoot up to the summer of your high school senior year graduation, which she graduated last year. So she went back to the BB Gun National. They started an air rifle competition, very small last year, just to see if there was any interest. There was. So now that she's over 18, she is the coach of that program, and we have 2 or 3 ladies who have graduated from BB and are going to shoot air rifle. So there is some place for them to go after they age out, especially for those that show aptitude, like my daughter and the 2 that are shooting. So, yeah. Please.
Yes, can you give us an example of a question from the safety?
Yes. So the questions are mostly true or false. At nationals, there's 50 questions. Each one is worth 2 points. I think 30 questions are true and false. 10 questions are multiple choice, and 10 questions are like fill in the blank kind of thing. We do true and false at our weekly competitions. So one of the questions last night was true or false. It is safe to shoot at water as long as you can see the bottom. And the answer is you never shoot at water. Water, it doesn't compress, so you risk ricochet. You have no idea where that shot went. Some questions are about the running of the national competition. Who is responsible for policing the firing point after you're done shooting? The shooter is. Who is responsible for knowing the rules and managing the time? How much time do you have to make your 10 record shots? All of that kind of stuff. But a lot of safety stuff. And it's not always just competition safety. When you're shooting and you come across an open fence, an open gate, how do you leave it after you go through it? You leave it the way you found it. That's if a farmer is giving you permission to hunt on their land, there may be a reason that you don't know why he's left that gate open. So if it's closed, then close it. So return it to the state that you found it in is the rule. So by the end of the 13 weeks, we do 25 questions a week. Every time we go back to nationals, I bring their questions back and add them to our database. I've created an Excel sheet where it randomly picks questions so that it's not the same. Week 1 from this year isn't the same exact test as week 1 from 5 years ago. So it forces them to actually hunt stuff down.
If my memory serves correctly, questionable, you guys had a national champion back in the early 80s, 90s. It was from Forest Grove High School.
Correct.
I can't remember her name, but I remember.
Chrissy Monson. Yes. And actually, I didn't even, when I was on the school board, her mother, as And yes, she regaled me with all kinds of stories with Chrissy's involvement. She actually got a scholarship and moved on to the Junior Olympics in shooting. So there's big poster boards on our A range of her shooting at the Junior Olympics and doing very well. So yeah, that's there's all kinds of places that this can take you. There are shooting teams that colleges will grant scholarships for. Less now than there was probably 25 years ago when she was shooting. But they're out there. Anything else? Well, thank you very much for having me.